hello there.
Hi, Carrie.
How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
I'm okay. I'm pretty excited to talk about some books today, and also to talk about a contest.
Yes.
So there's lots of stuff to do.
Yeah, let's talk about this contest.
Yeah, so we're doing a contest, and it's really awesome because I'm really excited. People get to write lyrics for songs about books, and we get to judge them, and I'm pretty stoked about this.
I agree. So what you do is you can mail it in or send it to us on Facebook. Mail it to podcast@loveyalikecrazy.com. And Carrie and I will each choose our favorite, and then I will actually record a song using those lyrics, and we'll mail you a book and or a movie.
Yeah, so that means there are actually two winners. Is that correct?
Well, everyone who enters will be a winner.
You're a winner in Jake's eyes.
That's true.
Mine, you're all second place.
Yeah, well,
okay.
So Carrie and I got together 2 or 3 months ago and signed copies of Awoken by Sarah Ellenson and the Blu-ray copy of Vampire Academy. And yeah, so we'll mail them to people.
Yeah, both are really quality media. I would recommend both of them if you hate yourself a little bit.
Sure. I imagine most of our listeners do.
Honestly, I really do like Awoken. It's written to be bad, so therefore I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think Vampire Academy was supposed to be good, and it missed the mark entirely, and it's just terrible.
I'm with you on that. So some people have asked me questions about this contest.
I would love to hear these questions.
Okay. So someone asked, if I write a song based on a book, do I have to have read the book?
Hell no.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's my answer.
Yeah, no way. Not required, not even necessarily desirable.
I think it's probably better if you haven't. I mean, you wrote the song for Vampire Academy before you saw it, right?
That is absolutely 100% true. Now, people say I'm a monster, but I'm rubber and they're glue. They say I don't belong here. That might be true. And people wonder if they need to actually provide music or anything. No way. Just the lyrics is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can send in more stuff if you want, but I don't think that gives you a particular advantage.
Yeah, one of the prizes is Jacob will be recording said song. So, you don't even have to do much. Just write some shit down on a piece of paper. I don't care.
Yeah. So someone asked me if they could write a haiku.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if that's good enough. Maybe multiple haikus put together?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that my friend Chris Monty wrote a song that is like 3 haikus strung together about bees, and I think that song is great. So I think if the larger question is, do the lyrics have to rhyme? No.
Oh, no. God, no.
And is there a length requirement? Also no.
No. But just one haiku, I don't know. That'd be tough. And it's got to be really good because I'm a pretty tough critic here. And this is for, one of the greatest books ever written, people. So, up your game.
Yeah. I would say go ahead, send it in. You may or may not win, but we'll probably enjoy it.
We'll read the fuck out of it.
Maybe we'll read it twice if it's that short.
Ooh.
Someone asked, or I guess this is not a question so much as a concern. They say, I've never written a song and I don't even know how to play an instrument. So I probably shouldn't enter, right?
Oh, I can answer that one because I wrote a really bad song and I don't know how to play any instruments. And it's a good song. It's about truffles, y'all.
That's right. A heart made of cocoa, all rolled up in dirt, a decadent tree, a tiny dessert.
So no, you don't have to know how to do anything other than make some stuff up. Preferably for my voting, make it hilarious or cheesy or silly or fun. Just make it fun. It'll be fun. Come on. It's for some awesome prizes, people. Awesome.
Yes, and bragging rights.
Serious bragging rights.
And knowing that you have crushed the opposition. These are all important goals.
I think you're taking your alter ego a little too seriously there, my friend.
Oh, okay. I'll try to step back from the brink. So I guess we should introduce ourselves and stuff. So who are you?
I'm Carrie.
Carrie, is it?
And you?
Oh, I'm Jake.
Jake! Well, hello. It's good to see you.
It's great to see you too, in the form of a little noise meter on my Skype.
Yeah, you are. You're just two initials in a big circle.
That's a very good representation of me.
Oh my goodness. Anyway,
so we love YA fiction, young adult, and we talk about it. We don't necessarily love every single book.
Oh God, no.
But as a whole,
yeah, as a genre, we enjoy YA. Piece by piece, that's a different story,
right? And we explore this in this series. I think I've explained it more than enough, probably. These episodes always contain spoilers, and they pretty much always contain swearing. So be aware of that and listen accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So what book are we talking about today, Carrie?
Today we are talking about a book called The Haters by Jesse something or other. What's his last name? Andrews?
Correct.
Okay, The Haters by Jesse Andrews.
It's his seventh. No, it's not. It's his second book, and it was published this year in April.
Mm-hmm.
And then next episode we'll be talking about A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine
L'Engle? I don't know.
L'Engle? I don't know. Is she French? These are all things I should know.
I don't know. I've always said L'Engle.
That's good for me. We can correct it next episode if we need to, but we probably won't. And that's from 1973, and both of us read it as kids, I think, mm-hmm. and maybe not really too much since then.
Yeah, I haven't read it in a long, really, really, really long time. So I'm really excited to see if it holds up to what I remember as a child. And also, it's going to be interesting to see how much of it I forgot.
Sure. And I think that I feel like there are 5 books in this series, and I feel like they got progressively weirder and more Christian as they went on. So I'm curious as to how that comes out in this particular book. But I also might be wrong about that. So don't quote me on my podcast.
Yeah, I'll try not to.
Okay. Well, so maybe we should get on and talk about The Haters.
This was quite a book. I can sort of see why you chose this, because I can see you living through this.
Sure. Yeah, not precisely, but yeah, I did find some of it really relatable, which is a weird thing to say about a book that is ridiculous as this one is.
And it is ridiculous. So, basic premise, some people go to jazz camp, some people run away from jazz camp and think they're going to be the next big thing.
Right.
That's a very, very brief overview. So Wes is the main character. He plays the bass, and he chose that because of some girl in class said that dudes who had super bass, as in the Nicki Minaj song, that they were super cool. So he was like, well, then I'm going to play the bass because that's going to make me super cool. It did not.
No.
It did not make him cool. Just FYI, spoiler alert, starting right here. Dude's a bit of a dork. Oh, I want to say one more thing because I made a note about this.
Okay.
At one point, Wes was talking about when he was younger.
Yeah.
And he was playing, and it might have been in the church parking lot or something. And a dude said, "Hey kid, you want a dog?" He's like, yeah, I totally want a dog. And the guy just left his dog out. And Wes wanted his parents' approval so much to have this dog. He loved this dog that he had to give it the most lame and pathetic name anyone has ever given a dog ever. What would that name be, Jacob?
Dad Jr.
Dad Jr.
And then his mother was a little ticked that he didn't name it Mom Jr.
And then he's like, in retrospect, I should have named it both parents Jr.
Yeah, that's...
And I loved that so much. Because I was like, that sounds like something that I would have done. Because I was because like Wes, you're a weird only child. And that was just like... And then, of course, Dad Jr. ran away to go back to his real home.
Right.
I just wanted to mention that because I'm like, that was one of the weirdest things in the book, but it also says a lot about Wes and his parents and their family dynamic, that he's just like, he's adopted. He's like, I just want to feel like my parents love me, and so I'm going to name my dog after my dad, and I love my dog, and he licked the dog's face.
Yeah.
Like, that's really gross and really needy. So it says a lot about Wes that he's kind of gross and kind of needy. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. You can also just edit all that shit out if you need to.
I will not. That's going in. That's gold.
That is gold. Dad Jr. is gold. So yeah, so they start off by going to jazz camp.
Right. So it's Wes, and then his best friend is Corey Wall, who plays drums.
Yes. And they're kind of crappy. I mean, they're the maybe good for their school, but when they go to this...
I thought you meant as people.
Well, the Bill Garabedian Jazz Stars of Tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
So they go to this jazz camp where everyone's like, you know, hey man, you want to jam, cats? And they're just like, oh, what the fuck have we gotten ourselves into? And I was about to puke at that point because I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't deal with a fucking book full of this shit.
Yes.
But at least I didn't get a book full of that shit.
No, you didn't. You only got about, a third of a book of that?
Not even.
Yeah, I got I put down a quote from this. So there's this guy, Tim, who's a total douchebag. And so, all right. So in this book, Wes, the narrator, says, and before I knew what was happening, I found myself out behind the dorm's fire exit for 15 minutes, watching Tim chain smoke parliaments and listening to him tell me how it is. How it is capitalized.
Of course it is.
He was talking in stage 4 jazz voice about Ash in particular, Ash being the third character that we haven't talked about yet, and ladies in general, and how he always found himself falling for crazy ladies with fire, where sometimes the fire burns slow and sometimes it burns hot, and the only thing they like better than bossing you is when you step up and boss them. They Jones on you manning up, down and sideways, my froond, he told me, and it's the only game in town that'll get 'em to quit bossing you every which. So I thought that perfectly captured someone who, speaking as a nonviolent person, probably should be punched.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think that's a given. I am not a nonviolent person, so I volunteer.
Okay. Oh. It's good to know that I can subcontract that stuff out.
You absolutely can. Yeah, and I'm, do not choose to be friends with people who talk like that, but I've known people like this, and usually I've known them through, like, drama club in high school, because I don't know if it was similar with you, but like drama club people and band people, there's a lot of overlap. And yeah, so I've known people like this, and it's awful, and I hate that. And there are no ladies burning with fire for them. Sorry. None.
Yeah, no. I mean, that thinking that way in high school, like, hopefully you wise up sooner or later, or you become some weird NMRI guy who yells at women on the internet.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, this was special. So I, didn't know much about the book before I started reading it, and then it was just like, oh, what did Jake get me into? I'm going to kill him.
Fair enough. Before we get to my impending death, you had read Jesse Andrews' previous book, right?
I did read Jesse Andrews' previous book, which was Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And a lot of that book resonates here because we haven't talked about the third character, but there is a third character, and that's Ash, and she is the girl. So just like Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, where it's two dudes and a chick, we've got the same dynamic here, and it's very similar, where like the chick's like the cool girl, and the dudes may or may not be lusting after her. The answer is yes, they are. So it's similar. So I don't know if like Jesse Andrews just really likes love triangles that don't go anywhere or not. I don't know.
So Ash is older than Wes and Corey. I think Wes and Corey are probably like 17 or 18.
I thought they were 16.
Oh, I think you might be right.
Because they're still in high school, and they're in high school young enough where they haven't like done any of the college stuff yet.
Yes.
So I think they're 16, and Ash is 19.
Right.
Although sometimes she tells people she's older, so I wasn't exactly sure, but I think she's 19. So I also was just like, why the hell is this 19-year-old chick going to a jazz camp? But it turns out that is not uncommon because I Googled it.
Oh.
And there's a jazz camp here at the local university that is for high school students, college students, and old people from town. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess people do go to jazz camp when they're 19. Okay. I don't know why I'd want to. But whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess that basically she's going to jazz camp because her parents are really rich. I mean, that's why she can.
Yeah, so she goes to jazz camp because she can. So, yes, her parents are really rich. She's in the same jazz band that Wes and Corey are placed into. And she plays very differently than everybody else. And so the three of them play together, and it's magical. It is, stars aligning, fireworks going off. Like they're doing their thing, and it's not sucking.
Right.
So Ashley's like, okay, why don't we all leave our cell phones here and get in my car and go on tour? So I just, because I've got like 5 things open. I did look at my Kindle and look, I actually highlighted one thing. It was a description of Ash.
Okay.
It's talking about her sound and how, like, she's just a little off. It was sort of like a ballet recital where most of the kids were doing competent, reasonable ballet and frilly skirts and leotards and stuff. But then off to one side, this girl Ash was wearing a football uniform and doing the worm. And I liked that. Mm-hmm. Because that really, sort of says a lot to me about who she is and what their dynamic is. Because what they're expecting and what they're getting are 2 very different things. They're expecting, a girl that, plays according to the rules. They're expecting a girl who is emotionally available. And they get none of that.
All right. So I feel like you have a lot of anger about this book.
I do. A lot of anger.
And I think that some of the decisions that you just described may be related to that. So.
Oh, they are absolutely related to that. Because first of all, what the hell 19-year-old girl? He's like, oh, hey, 2 16-year-old boys, get in my car. What 2 16-year-old boys? Okay, I know the answer to this one. What makes you think that leaving your cell phone behind and just going into a stranger's car and going like, yeah, we're going to go on tour, look, like, you fucking idiot.
Yes.
You fucking idiots. All 3 of you are idiots. But Ashley, you're a goddamn adult. You might be a little stunted because your parents are rich and they forced you to go to fucking tennis camp your whole life and you fucking hated tennis. But Jesus fucking Christ, bitch, you are the adult. You do not take these 2 children into your goddamn rich girl SUV, tell them to leave their cell phones behind, and then say, let's go on the road. We don't have a destination. Ha ha.
Yeah, and I would also like to say as a musician who has actually gone on a few tours myself, if you just get in the car and start driving and hope that you're going to find a place to play and that you're going to have the best show ever, that's not planning for success. That's not really how that's going to work out.
Well, I mean, they were not successful. They ended up in a Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah, they sucked at that.
I've absolutely done a show like that, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. That is not okay. You're better than that. Did you get free Chinese food out of it?
Well, it wasn't actually at a Chinese place. Actually, I guess I have 2 little stories related to that. One is that the first show that I ever played, I think it was the first show, maybe it was the second, was at this bar that didn't have an entertainment license. Mm-hmm. So they told us that we couldn't advertise the show or tell anyone about it.
So you just had to show up and make music?
Right. And then afterwards they were disappointed with turnout and wanted to not pay us. But
where was this? I want to hear.
I don't remember. I mean, honestly, I don't remember. So we showed up, and obviously there's no stage or anything. So we had to set up in the corner, like behind this pool table. So we were just like really crammed in there. And there was a foosball table nearby, which we didn't think to turn off. So like in the middle of our first set, we were doing this quiet song, and suddenly the foosball player, which I guess just randomly wakes up every half hour or so, woke up and played da-da-da-da-da-da. And
oh my God, I love it.
So that was fantastic. But also I remember that the first time that I booked a tour, we went online and we were just looking for any place that would have music. And there was an Indian place in a mall that had, I think, an open mic and maybe karaoke every week. And we were totally like, we need to try to play at this place because that will be a story. And they never got back to us, so we didn't play there. And in fact, if we had played there, it would have been a terrible show. But there is like an extent to where you're just like, well, that's going to be, that'll be a show, and maybe that'll be a good story. So yeah, playing terrible shows in places that really shouldn't have music is definitely part of the equation when you're just getting started as a band. But expecting that show to be super fun and and for you to have a good time and play well is probably not part of that equation.
Yeah.
Anyway, I interrupted your discussion of this book. I feel like
discussion.
My feeling about this book is that one way of kind of thinking, when you're reading it, like there are a bunch of steps along the way where they have to make decisions,
and they always make the wrong one.
Exactly.
Every single time.
Exactly. It's always the dumb. If they have a choice between doing something smart or doing something stupid, they always do the dumb thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it never pays off for them either. Like that never turns out to be.
No.
I mean, they do. Well, whatever. I'm getting ahead of myself. So
yes, they play the Chinese place and they end up in East Bumfuck, Mississippi. And after Ash sold her car to get a different car that was basically made out of like rubber bands and hope
and scorpions,
like everything they did was so stupid, and it made me really mad because I am like, even though I'm sort of an asshole, like I couldn't do that to my mom, like when I was that age.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're just like, oh yeah, well, my parents won't even notice. That's what Wes said. And Corey's like, well, my parents are going to probably murder me. So, and Ashley, she doesn't give a fuck. She's an adult. She's got a fucking brand new SUV that she can sell for a scorpion car. Like, they just made me so mad. And then, of course, there's the love triangle where Wes thinks Ashley is the shit, but Corey and Ashley hook up, but maybe Wes and Ashley might hook up. And I'm like, first of all, she's 19. This is not okay. This is not okay. Maybe if you're 16, you're like, hey, 19-year-old chick wants me to go down on her. Awesome. No, it is not awesome. It is illegal. Please do not do this.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. So leaving phones behind is one thing, but leaving behind the EpiPen?
Oh, yeah, that was really stupid. That was like really, really, really stupid. But also, it turned out that he wasn't allergic to peanut butter.
Yeah, there are other ways to find that out, I feel like.
Yeah, like maybe go to a doctor and get tested. They can do that. Everybody is so fucking stupid in this book, except for a few people.
Who?
Charlie's.
Yeah.
She is awesome. So at one point, Wes cuts his hand open on some glass after they were on the highway and there was a fucking car that like cut them off or something. And so they're like, oh, let's tail the car. Oh shit, they're going to kick our ass. Let's grab some glass. Oh, that's always smart. Let's cut our hand open. Everybody is so fucking stupid. So they go into CVS and his hand's like dripping blood. And Charlie's was there and she fixed him up and took them home, fed them a nice hot meal, hid some family secrets, and then they played some music in the backyard.
And then she called the cops.
Which is the right thing to do. She should have called the cops. Should have called them earlier.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Like, she and Big Ed is pretty enjoyable.
Big Ed is pretty much the first character in the book that I was like, fucking yes. Finally, yes. These kids are runaways. Don't let them sleep in your goddamn bed. Why are you picking up stray kids?
Yeah, he's totally grouchy and, but he also lets them crash there, and whatever. So
lets them play like, I don't even remember any of the names of their songs, but they were all pretty rough.
I do. Let's see.
Oh, please do tell, because they were awful.
That song was, let's see. If you love your dog so much, why don't you fuck him?
I was trying to think. It was like something about fucking a dog.
Yeah, I should say, I actually wrote down all the song names because I was like, in terms of our contest, not to bring it up again, except totally bringing up it again, one of the things that people could do would be to write a song using one of these titles.
Oh, absolutely. So please do tell.
All right. So song names include God Has No Thoughts, Suburb of the Abyss, Everybody at Wendy's Was Dead or a Robot, Trees Are Eating My Dad Right Now, Part 1.
There's also Love Plague, This Sex Sucks, Shark Contest, I Am Such a Mess from Werewolf PMS, which is maybe my favorite.
That's pretty good. Also, They Told Me You Are What You Eat, So I Ate Roger Federer.
I like that one too. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. If You Love Your Dog So Much, Why Don't You Fuck Him? Love Is a Hate Crime. And after they break up...
Dogs Ate Cookie.
Yes. That has a double meaning.
So many meanings.
Or maybe just one meaning.
Yeah, really.
So they play in Big Ed and... What's her name?
Charlize or Charlize.
Charlize's backyard. And then they end up in like the shack in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Like that's a situation where you pretty much think that everyone could just end up getting...
Yeah, that's like, okay, so this is how the book ends. Everyone dies. Gotcha.
Yeah, which I have to say, again, when we were planning out our tour and figuring out where to stay, because you prefer... I mean, unlike the tour of the haters, where money is no object, in an actual tour, you want to either make money or lose as little money as possible. So we're always trying to find places where we could crash without paying. And I was talking to a friend about it, and I said, well, my basic idea is, like, as long as there's a 90% chance that we're not going to be killed by some insane person, I think we're fine. But then Chris told me this story about going on tour with some other people, where a friend of a friend told them that he had a shack someplace where they could crash in. And so they go out to the shack. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like freezing out. The shack is unheated. They open it up and it is full of two things, which is rat shit and piles of pornography.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they went out and played the show, and then they got a bunch of beer and just drank to the point where they were able to ignore their surroundings, and then like cleared out a space and went to sleep in this place.
Oh my God.
So then I was like, okay, well apparently we'll stay anywhere where there's a 50% chance that we won't get killed in our sleep. Again, that's just one of those part of the books that you might not have expected me to find all that relatable, but I could actually kind of see that happening. That it ended up being owned by this famous record producer, on the other hand, didn't seem all that likely.
The whole thing was very strange. So they go to a bar, they play. This guy named Cookie plays with them, and he and Ash sound really good together. So he's like, okay, come on to Dad's house. And go to Dad's house, and it's a huge recording studio, and Wes gets really high, meets a chick named Shaenon, and has a lot of really bad sex. Really bad.
Yeah. Right. And
in my notes, she's actually just listed as sex girl.
Yeah, I think that's who that character is. But she seems to me like she basically sexually assaults him towards the end of it.
Well, I think she does. I
mean, according to reports, he said, no, stop. And then she kept going until Ash went over and said, no, you should really stop.
And then they both just fall asleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next to the bathroom.
Yeah. As everyone saw his taint.
Yes.
I was like, oh, this book. So this one thing that this book has a lot of that we haven't really discussed.
Yes.
They talk about harming their penises a lot.
It's true. There's a lot of dick harm.
A lot of dick harm. And it's a lot of like, oh my God, what you said was so embarrassing that my penis ripped itself off my body and ran away to Tibet.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, okay. But there's a lot of it. And so, one of the things that they like about Ash is that she sort of like doesn't judge them for their ridiculous dick harm jokes. And she also tells dick harm jokes. But then when Wes and Cheyenne are having really bad sex, I think he's actually getting some dick harm.
Yes.
And he realizes maybe it's not so funny.
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Personal growth.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That was not, I did not intend that.
I know you didn't. Oh, dick harm. So,
I mean, as a character, I feel like one of the things that I felt was a problem with the book is that Ash is more of kind of a walking plot device than a real character. Like, I feel like maybe you haven't met anyone exactly like Wes or Corey, but they seem a little more like you can imagine someone being like that, whereas Ash, like the author wants these kids to go on tour, but how are they going to do that? Well, okay, there's this rich kid who owns an SUV and can also buy another car when the cops are going to find that one. And, like when they almost get into the fight with the people in the Jeep, like Ash is kind of the instigator of that, but she's just so random that it's hard to like kind of hold on to her too much. Mm-hmm. Jesse Andrews does try to explain why she's like that somewhat, but I'm just not sure. I don't know. It just doesn't seem all that real to me necessarily. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you agree with that? Or
well, none of this book seems really real, and nothing about her seems real. I mean, starting from the fact that she's a 19-year-old girl going to camp,
right,
taking some 16-year-old kids in her car, like even when I was 19, I wasn't making decisions that are that poor.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of things that she did, and a lot of where she was sort of not quite fleshed out properly. He was trying to be all deep with her, but was not hitting the mark. So is the reason that you like this book is that you know these characters in some way?
That's part of it. I mean, one is there are things that I just like about the language of it and the way that it's put together that I enjoyed. Like, there's a chapter that ends, this is going to get complicated, but maybe if I make a new chapter, it will not be as complicated. And then the next chapter's title is, Nope, Still As Complicated. And I thought that was funny. And when they're in the new car, like when they get the used car that's made out of scorpions, there's a description of the radio which says that it sounds like if Corey and I tried to make a radio out of the world's oldest amplifier and some bees, which I was like, that is a funny, apt description of terrible old radios. So like just on a basic writing level, I thought a lot of it was funny. But it's also true that, as a touring musician who has done many terrible shows and who was in a band in high school that broke up when the guitarist punched through a window in the bass player's house, like there are some things in here that I definitely recognize, and Chris's story about the porn shack.
The porn shack.
Also there's a thing about where one of the barflies, a guy named Rudd, talks to Wes after the show and like just says some really weird stuff to him. And,
everybody knows that guy.
Those interactions are always fun and kind of entertaining and sometimes a little scary. So I definitely recognize that, so yeah, there's definitely a bunch of things that I recognized here. On the downside, I feel like this book is like super male gazy. Like the women don't have a ton of interior life that you can tell generally. But I did appreciate it at the end of the book that everyone gets in super trouble. Like they totally don't get away with it.
I loved every second of that because so often in YA books, you don't ever really hear from the parents again. There's no consequences for your actions. And the fact that, he has to fly down to Mississippi a bunch of times to deal with his, punching a guy and turning the power off in a building. And, he's still in touch with Charlie's, who sends him, religious texts. I'm like, I like the fact that, while some of it is a little unlikely, I'm like, how did they figure that out? Like, how did they know that this, like, they didn't have their cell phones, so how did they get in touch with these people later? So maybe I was just a little like, okay, how did that work? But I like the fact that there were consequences for their actions and that, I certainly wasn't happy that Corey wasn't allowed to hang out with Wes anymore. I think that sucked. And the fact that Ashley was sent to France, I mean, whatever.
But then they still managed to kind of collaborate musically from afar.
Sort of. And I sort of like the fact that, this wasn't a forever thing. Like, she went to France and she kind of disappeared. And they get to think like, oh, remember that time we did that awesome thing? And she's like, yeah, it was cool, I guess. I live in France now, bye. Mm-hmm. Like, where for them, it's like a life-changing, mind-altering, like, amazing. And can you believe it was only 4 days?
Yeah, right.
Like, an amazing 4 days of craziness. Where for her, I don't think it was as big a deal. And I liked that because sometimes, you get that, like, everyone is forever changed. And she's like, I guess not. But she's, she's keeping in touch with them a little bit. But it's going to be, like you make a best friend in summer camp and, you send letters and then they get more and more sporadic until you never hear from them again. And it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Life moves on.
Well, for her anyway. And I liked that. I liked that, she disappeared. It wasn't, I guess, as much of a character as we got of Ash, it was very in character, where she just didn't give a fuck. It wasn't, in her interest at all to, like, keep in touch with these two young kids.
Yeah.
I had a lot of things to say about this book, I guess, and even though I didn't have a lot of things that were positive to say because a lot of it really frustrated me, mm-hmm. I didn't hate the book. I wanted to hate the book. I wanted to really just, like, destroy this book. But I'm like, I enjoyed their sick sense of humor. I enjoyed the fact that, they all in some way broke out of their shell a little bit where, Wes got to have, I think, better communication with his parents. Corey got away from his overprotective parents for a while, although now he's completely under their control again. Then Ashley, she wasn't the little rich girl for a little while. And she got to be punk rock rather than, her daddy's star tennis player. And so, everyone did get something out of this, but I think for Ashley, it's, it's a blip. Whereas for them, it's, they're going to be forever changed.
Right. Like, it's the craziest thing that ever happened to them. But for her, like, it's, it's probably in the top 10, but not necessarily in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that are crazier.
Yeah. So, I've been resisting the urge, and I'll continue to resist it.
No, don't resist it.
To have you rate this book on some kind of Dick Harm scale.
Oh, on a scale of like 1 to like
how much does
penis in the meat grinder?
You sent me so many emails about how angry this book made you.
Because it did. I'm like, What the fuck? They left their cell phones behind. What if something happens? Oh my God, this is really dangerous. This is not okay. They didn't even tell anyone where they were. They didn't even leave a note. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If Bruce ever thought about doing that, I would end him. He's only, 21 months, so it's not happening anytime soon, but I would end him.
Yeah. Some 5-year-old rich kid shows up and is like, hey, Bruce, I think we should drop out of preschool and go on tour.
Yeah, get in the back of my tricycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he would kill at that, though. He really would.
It's true. I love that kid.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't necessarily, have anything to add to that. Yeah,
honestly, I want to hear, what would you rate it?
Oh.
Scale of 1 to, I don't know, Dick getting run over by a tank.
Okay, well, this is a very strange scale for me to think about.
What level of harm would you rate this book?
I think kind of a moderate level of harm.
Maybe getting stuck in your fly?
Oh, that really hurts.
Oh, see, I don't know these things. I'm just assuming
man.
Run over by a tank is probably worse than a fly. But okay, maybe.
Well, it is, but the fly thing. Oh man.
Yeah, that's probably pretty tender. Okay.
No, I think. Well, I guess the negative scale, right, is that the Dick tries to leave of its own accord because the situation is so bad.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas if you're really enthusiastic about something, then you're really doing some damage to yourself. You just can't help yourself.
Okay.
I think that's how they used it, right?
Okay, yeah. So from
this is still not real helpful. But
so how much does your Dick want to run away? I guess.
Oh yeah, that's true. We could do it both things. We could do it on both scales because there are definitely things that. I can't believe how long we're talking about this. And also, I can't believe how much this episode makes both of us sound like some kind of sex predators or something.
We're talking about teenagers' dicks. No, we're not actually talking about teenagers' dicks. We're talking about our own dicks.
Yes.
Very different.
Sure. Well, okay. So how about this? Scale of 1 is no dick harm whatsoever, or dick just tears itself off my body and just runs away screaming, never to be seen again. And then 10 is the steamroller. I tear the dick off, I throw it in front of a steamroller, and that happens.
That happens.
It does. I'll say like a 7-ish, around a 7.
Wow.
Because
no, please explain. I need to hear this.
Because there just was a lot. I enjoyed how the book was written, stylistically a lot. And then just as someone, as I said, there were parts of it that I thought were like kind of accurate representations of being a musician and touring and playing terrible shows and occasional shows that are actually a lot of fun. I thought that was a lot of that was a lot more spot on than the average reader might think they were.
Yeah.
So on the whole, I enjoyed it. There were definitely things about it that I didn't like, which we've sort of gone over. But so I'm giving it right around a 7, I think.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'd probably give it more of a 4. So my dick is, I don't know. I'd say like I have to remove it from my body rather than it removing itself. So there is a little bit of self-harm involved. But it is not actually getting crushed by a steamroller or anything. It's just sort of like weeping in embarrassment.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to give it a 4. Didn't hate it. It wasn't like a negative. It wasn't the worst book I've ever read. It certainly isn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. It ended wonderfully because they had consequences, and damn it, I was so angry. So anyway, I felt like a real adult reading this book, and I felt like usually in YA you sort of get to transform yourself back a little bit or imagine what it would be like, but this one I was just like, I'm just an angry mom, and I can't believe I'm reading this shit.
Mm-hmm. I would like to make a promise to our readers, which is that we will never use that scale for rating books again.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Jacob.
I'm really going to try to keep that one.
You can try. I may bring it up again.
My mother's going to listen to this.
Oh, you might want to edit that all out then.
Nah, she can take it.
Like my baby's dick.
Hi, Mom. So.
Hi, Mrs. Caller. Oh.
So.
I'm sorry. I'm the worst co-host ever. And I'm bright red right now. I wish you could see this.
I will point out that whole scale was my idea.
It was. I just ran with it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was The Haters by Jesse Andrews. And then the next book we're going to read is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle.
Something or other.
It's only 211 pages. And we've got the contest. We told you about that. Send any entries to podcast@loveyoulikeCrazy.com or post them on Facebook or whatever. Oh, for people who have made it all the way to the end through all the dick harm and everything.
And again, I wholeheartedly apologize for that.
I regret nothing, but I regret a few things. Anyway, I feel like if you've made it this far, then you're definitely a big fan of this show. And I thought I would mention that there's a secret Facebook group that I created called Friends of Love You Like Crazy. And I haven't entirely decided what we're doing with it exactly, but I'll ask for suggestions for books maybe, and Carrie and I will talk in maybe a little an unguarded way. So if you made it this far and you're interested in being that group and you're not a douchebag, let me know and I'll add you to the group and you can see what's going on there.
Wait, you can't be a douchebag?
Well,
you're going to kick me out? Oh, come on. You set me up for that.
I'm not going to even dignify that with a response.
I appreciate it.
Let's see. Is there anything else that we should say?
I don't know. Did we get any reader mail?
No, not really.
Bastards.
I was really pushing really hard on it.
I know.
Like people are reading Grasshopper Jungle and they definitely have opinions about it. I'm very excited about this because, we all know how much I love Grasshopper Jungle and how it is, one of the most fucked up books ever. But the fact that y'all are reading that just warms my dead little heart a little bit, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So, like my friend Katie Redacted said that it's, she's like 2/3 of the way through now. She said it's definitely the weirdest book that she's ever read. I'm not sure that she's enjoying it per se, but she's continuing on. And so and a couple other people I know have read it too as a result of us doing it. But
oh, that's awesome. That makes me really happy. I'm glad that I can spread the parasite that is this book.
Yes.
Yay.
So I've been trying to get people to send us email about it, but they haven't yet. But I'll keep working on it. And anyone out there,
if they don't, they don't. I just want to hear what other people think about the book. You don't even have to ask any questions. Just tell me how much you loved it, because I know you did.
Yeah. All right. Well, Carrie, it's always great to talk to you.
I've had a lot of caffeine today. Does it show? Does that explain anything?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I
love you like crazy.
I love you like crazy too. Nailed it. Oh my God. We're great. We did great.
I'm like punch drunk. Oh my God.
We've been on the road for a couple of weeks. We've never sounded quite this great. The crowds have been swelling, the applause is so loud, and it's louder in every new state. The critics have spoken, they're starting to say our sound is the best in the land. But I guess all good things must come to an end. Guess it's time to break up the band. If you listen to us with your vision obscured, you'd swear our drummer had 7 limbs. Our guitarist is Hendrix Frost with Bonnie Raitt. Our songs have the catchiest rhythms. We've played together for years and we built up our skills. We're catchy without being bland. From this peak, I can only see one way to go. Guess it's time to break up the band. We stuck it out through thin, kept it going through thinner. Through it all, we stuck together like glue. I remember playing to crowds in the threes. We thought that we'd never break through. And now that it seems we've broken all right, guess it's time to start something new. With one last song for the road, one regretful refrain, we'll head out to solo careers. We'll build new reputations and we'll work on our craft, and in time we'll forget all our fears. And maybe we'll collaborate in twos or in threes. After all, we weren't birds of a feather. And so maybe we'll say in a decade or two, guess it's time to put the band back together.
LoveLifeCrazy.com.
Yeah, let me... Real professional, Jake. Sending email. You know, I just realized that since I included your Facebook song in the last episode, I'm now going to have to include my own little email song.
That was really embarrassing.
It was totally cute.
Like, I am the biggest dork in the world. I make little songs about everything.
I am possibly a little bit dorkier. All right.
And you also make songs about everything. Okay.